What's up, Gridiron Gang? What a boring, mundane game we had on Sunday between the Steelers and the Lions. Needless to say, I did not expect Yaya Black flipping off a camera early on the game to get completely overshadowed by the rest of the game. But anyways, heading into the game, both teams needed to win. The Lions more than the Steelers. Obviously, the Steelers would always have had a chance that Week 18 game against Baltimore to win the division, but you want to keep that momentum going from the previous two games that you had built up against against Baltimore and who did we play? Miami. And three impressive rushing teams that we kind of put the clamps on. Miami we held to, I don't remember what the yardage was, but they had 3 yards in the third quarter, negative 3 yards in the third quarter. We did the same thing here to the Lions. This game was honestly a lot closer than the score indicated, or was a lot more Steelers favored than the score indicated, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. You are up at least 2 scores most of the game. Detroit kind of came raging back there in the fourth quarter, I think. We exchanged touchdowns back and forth in the fourth quarter, but we were up 22-10, 15-10 as the fourth quarter got into it. Could have had a touchdown at the beginning of the fourth quarter there, but we had a pass interference call there as well. I'm not going to blame the refs either way. I've never blamed the refs. The refs are going to make their calls, and I wouldn't say it was. A lot of people are calling it lopsided, like a lot against Detroit. I know a lot towards the end came down against Detroit, but I think it was a pretty evenly called game. But as far as Aaron Rodgers goes, another impressive game, 27 of 41 for 266 and a touchdown. He's really spreading the ball around. Losing DK for the next 2 games could be harmful, but I think he's found an outlet in Gainwell, and Thielen had 4 receptions in this game, so I think he's getting more comfortable there. And then Patton and D-Wash also had a few grabs. So I think if the suspension holds up, which I think at least one game will, I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But anyways, I think if it does go with the 2 games, I think we're not in as bad a spot as we were before we got Thielen and MVS. You had Scotty Miller come up big with 3 catches as well. I think he had a fourth down conversion towards the end of the game there that was pretty significant. But the running backs are the story here. 2 45-yard touchdown runs out of Warren and a 45-yard touchdown reception out of Gainwell. All of our touchdowns came on 45-yard plays, I think. Yeah, that's crazy. 45 exactly on all 3 of them. But those guys are getting they're not healthy, but I mean, Warren was sick last week. But they're getting a lot of productivity out of the line, patchwork line at that. Samala was out. Jones has been out for 3 weeks now, 4 weeks, I think. But that left side, both of those runs were from the left side. I think we might have found a gem, Dylan Cook out there on the left tackle. Could be, the next Alejandro Villanueva, guy that you didn't expect to be your cornerstone left tackle for, 5-6 years. Might be there. But, I mean, Jones had looked good all year too. So depending on when he comes back from that injury, it could be a different story. But as far as the touchdowns go, like I said, 45-yarders out of everybody. The drives were consistent. I think we had a few to start the game off that were kind of rough. 9-play field goal to start it off, and then a 7-play, and then a couple 3-and-outs in the second quarter. But then we finished it up with that touchdown by Gainwell. So that was pretty nice. Third quarter, Jesus. They didn't even touch the ball. I think they had 3 plays in the third quarter. We had the 9-play drive that should have ended up in a touchdown. D-Wash got mauled by 4 guys and fumbled the ball there, and then we put them on their backs with the safety to go up 12-10. Then the fourth quarter was the oodles and oodles of scoring. I went from 12-10 at the end of the third quarter to 29-24 at the end of the game. So it was an impressive fourth quarter. Defensively, we were without arguably our two best pass rushers. I mean, Alex Highsmith might be better than TJ at this point. It's just been a weird year for TJ. Maybe he's getting a few more double teams, but regardless, Jack Sawyer stepping up in a big way, getting his first start. I don't think he had any bad negative plays. He had a few really decent good plays. No sacks. Cam had a sack, and Keanu Benton had a sack early, and then obviously the huge sack from Duggar to get that safety. The run defense that was non-existent against the Bills and has been an issue with all year. The last 3 games against Derrick Henry, and that vaunted Miami rush defense. And then this, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the tier top 1% runners. I think 15 total rushing yards, which is pretty abysmal for them. Obviously, I mean, they didn't really get down until the fourth quarter, so it wasn't like they needed to abandon the running game. They didn't have a chance in the third quarter, getting 0. I think they had the 3 plays before the safety. But other than that, it wasn't like they were running all over us. I don't even think they had any huge gains, really. 17 out of Montgomery was the longest. He had 14 total yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 2 yards on 7 carries. There was a couple huge plays that Alex Highsmith had in the backfield, shutting him down for, I think, 3 or 4 yard losses each time. But the defense is coming along. I think, obviously, the fire Tomlin chants from 3 weeks ago are null and void, because I never thought they were going to fire him, but he's doing an impressive job shoring up this defense. They did, like I said, we were up 12 late in the fourth quarter. And the defense kind of backed off and, let them back in the game. Got it within 1 score, I think, at one point. And then, obviously, we came back down and scored. We exchanged 17 points, 17, 14, 31 points were scored in that fourth quarter. So that was pretty impressive. And as far as special teams go, obviously, Boz had the doink. Low snap, not going to blame the snapper on that. If you get into the kick, you should be able to make it, especially that short of a kick. I think it was 27 yards or something like that, something ridiculous, something you shouldn't be missing, especially Boswell. But Waitman had 3 punts, decent punts, one inside the 20, 54-yard long, 50-yard average, not bad there. And then Gainwell and Warren had a few kick returns, nothing impressive there, but they did set us up pretty well a few times, 29 and 27-yard long, and that's impressive. Your 2 starting running backs, your starting running back and your backup running back are back there returning those kicks, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with Calvin Austin being and moved into that punt return position as well, because you trust the ball in those guys' hands. Austin can't catch necessarily that well from Rodgers, but he's been a decent punt returner. So if you want to keep those guys back there, go for it. And breaking down that fourth quarter last drive, everybody's going to be talking about that. If you're going to call that pass interference on, I think it was Samuel, you're going to have to call those 2 down in the end zone. I mean, it was basically essentially the same play we ran early in the game where they called it on Washington. It was the first touchdown they called back. You get that yard, a bump and run, but once you get 2 yards, 3 yards, I think down the field, you can't be running into each other like that. And it wasn't even. The Washington play, I think, was a little bit different because Washington was just basically the guy ran into him. With the Tesla play, you could tell Tesla was trying to run into, I think it was Duggar that he ran into there. Then the last play, passing OPI has always been explained to me the way I understand it. Arms get extended, that's OPI. And you could clearly see that St. Brown's arms were extended. Did Ramsey overact a little bit? Did he go to the LeBron school of flopping? Maybe. But also at that point, I don't think once we have him corralled like that, I thought I heard a whistle, but I went back a few times. The crowd was really loud. But also you have, 2 guys. Jalen Ramsey's not going to let up unless he hears a whistle. And then I think Joey Porter Jr. was the other guy there. and I guess I didn't really look too closely at the replay. Was St. Brown down? Was he not down? But um, you had the OPI, and had he just gone down, they might have had time left on the clock. I don't think that's a 10-second runoff penalty. So if there was time on the clock, they might have got another chance at it. I haven't delved too deeply into the rules or anything like that, but the game was over. It's just funny the way they announced it too. Result of the play was a touchdown. However, should have done a little bit better Stephen A there at the end of that game. Should the referee. Breaking down, I guess, the DK penalty, I said I'd talk about that a little bit later. I guess you can't be putting your hands on fans, and I'm fine with the 1-game suspension. This guy seems to be an instigator. He was reported by DK to Seattle last year. You have one instance earlier in the year of Lamar pushing a guy that pushed him or put his hands on him, and he got a fine out of it. DK's kind of not a repeat offender in this case with fan interaction, but he does have some, penalties, kind of George Pickenis things, which I think, like I said, I'd be fine with 1 game. I know he's appealing it right now, and we'll see what comes of that. But as long as we take care of business against the Browns like we should, I don't think he's going to be sorely missed. His presence will be missed, but at the end of the day, you got to keep your hands off the fans. So if the appeal comes down and he doesn't get it, I'm not going to be upset. I think the 2 games is a little outlandish, but at the same time, you can't be going up into the stands to kind of do that stuff. So we'll see what comes with the appeal. If he gets the 2 games, he gets 2 games, and we'll move on from there. So we are headed to Cleveland next week, and then we got Baltimore at home. Winning either one of those 2 games, and we're in the playoffs, or a Baltimore loss. Obviously, Baltimore would lose to us, but if they lose to Green Bay on Saturday, that would also tie it up for us. So we'll see what happens. You hold your own destiny, and we should be able to get it done against Cleveland.